What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Dee Hankins Show, where we talk about life, help you with your curveballs, and celebrate your home runs. I'm your host for today, Dee Hankins. If you don't know, now you know. Thank you all for showing up, for listening, for tuning in. This podcast is all about helping you become the most resilient version of yourself that can possibly happen. I want you to become ultra resilient. And in order for us to get there, we have to do our best in what I call our core four. Episode 1 was all about the resilience roadmap, introducing you to the core four and the 3-bucket philosophy, which is how we become extremely resilient in our life. The reason why I'm focusing this podcast on resilience is because you are going to face some type of challenge. Something is going to happen. I'm not wishing it on you. It is just science. You are going to get sick. A loved one's going to pass away. It could be a car accident. This could be a tornado that sweeps through your town, a hurricane that sweeps through your city. It could be so many things, so many curveballs that life throws at us. And when it does happen, I want you to be able to bounce back and get into some sense of normalcy faster than the average person who doesn't have this type of resilience. So I'm giving you all the tricks of the trade, everything that I've learned for the past 20 years as an inspirational speaker, talking to people, sharing stories, listening to stories, so on and so forth. The conclusion is this: there's nothing new under the sun. Everybody's going to face some type of challenge. How do we bounce back? That's what we want to get into. The core four is set up into a hierarchy, spirituality being on top, financially being in that second slot, physically being in that third slot, and the foundation of it all is mentally. Although it's in the fourth slot, I don't want you to think of it as lesser than. I just want you to think of it as the ground floor for building all the rest of these things. This episode is all about spirituality. Spirituality, some people hear that and they automatically think religion. I'm not talking about religion. Religion can be a part of your spirituality, but I'm talking about spirituality as a whole. And spirituality is so important because it makes up who you are as an individual. It is your personality. It is your gifts. It is your talent. It is all of your skills. It's your emotions. It's how you handle your emotions. It's how you treat yourself, and it's how you treat other people, and so much more, right? How you your values, your morals, all of these things that make up you as an individual. If your spirituality is shot, the rest of your life will be shot. Your spirituality, again, it makes up who you are. It's also the platform of you allowing change and allowing discipline. Okay. There are some people out there that are just so spiritually broken. They don't listen to anyone, whatever. If you don't agree with what they say, they'll unfollow you. They'll harm you. They'll talk about you. They'll do all of these things to hurt you. That's how you know when somebody is broken spiritually. That's how you know when someone is not doing their best in taking full responsibility for their spirituality. Their integrity is broken. The way they treat people is broken. It is so easy to see when your life is falling apart spiritually. So I'm glad you're here with this podcast because I want to fix that. I want to remedy that. I want you to be the best version of yourself. If I could break spirituality into fragments, the largest fragment would be purpose. Purpose is your why. Purpose is defining your why. Many times in my speaking career, I've come across, in all ages, people who feel they have no purpose. When you feel you have no purpose, what good are morals? When you feel you have no purpose, what good are values? When you feel you have no purpose, what good are your gifts, your talents, and your skills? When you feel you have no purpose in the world, when you feel like you're just a leaf blowing in the wind with nowhere to go, no direction, and no purpose, no general purpose in life. And I believe when you sit there and you start to remind yourself all the time, I have no purpose. I'm no good to anybody. I'm a nobody. Nobody loves me. I believe that is when we're at our most dangerous. Because like I said, if you're spiritually broken, you have no morals, you have no integrity, you have no discipline, you're not willing to listen to anybody, you're liable to do whatever you want and not have to face the consequences or feel like you don't have to face the consequences. And unfortunately, where I'm from, there's a lot of that. I see this all of the time. Okay. And I want to use this podcast to shed light on things that are deeper than the eye can see. Oftentimes we see people that are well put together. We see people that have maybe awesome jobs or business owners or so on and so forth, but are still spiritually broken. They have money or the perceived value of money, but they're still spiritually broken. There's a quote out there that goes hand in hand with what I'm talking about, especially in the financial arena of things. It's some people are so rich, all they have is money. And that is heartbreaking if you really think about the depth of that quote. Some people are so rich, all they have is money, nothing else. They just have money. And that's a sad life to live. I want you to have it all. I want you to have spiritual health, financial health, physical health, and mental health. And I want you to be optimum in all of those areas. I want you to be at the apex of success in all of those areas. But you have to do the work. And in order to do the work, you have to be willing. And so I hope when you listen to this podcast because you're willing. You're willing to learn. You're willing to understand a little bit about yourself. You're willing to change some things that you may not like. And step one is finding your purpose. Well, Dee, how do you find your purpose? I learned this at a young age, and I carry the same formula with me. And it's simple. What makes you extremely happy? Or on the opposite side, what makes you extremely mad? Like, what can you just not stand that people do? What is something that you see happening in the world that just crushes you, that either crushes your soul and you I just wish people would just not be this way, or I wish things would be better in this area, or this thing that I do brings me absolute joy. For instance, speaking. Being on stages, being in front of people, sharing my story, being in front of the camera, this brings me absolute joy. At the same time, seeing people suffer, seeing people blame people for their choices, hearing people verbally confess that they have no control over their life and they're hopeless and useless, that also crushes me. That crushes me to the max. So I've taken what I am good at, my gifts, talents, and my skills. Talent is something that you are good at, where with little practice, it just comes naturally to you. I've taken that, plus my love of speaking, plus my crushing feeling when I see and hear people have no control over their life. I've taken all those three and I put them together. And I honestly feel like this is my purpose. The more I do it, the better I get, the more money comes in. I'll be honest with you. As a speaker, I pray every year how my speaking career is going to be sustainable. Every year, I pray the same prayer. I'm like, Lord, here we go again. How are you going to do it? And for the last 20 years, he has kept me afloat. He has kept my speaking business strong. We get better and better. We make more and more. I'm allowed to do more and more, branch out more and more, and expand more and more. That, I feel, is the sign of purpose. You will know you're doing well by the fruit that you bear. And I've come across some really awesome people in my career that once felt down and out and hopeless and felt like they had no control. They've come into contact with me at a speaking event, at a school, as a student, whatever the case may be, and change their whole life around. Though I am only one person, this is why we have this podcast, so I can reach as many of you as possible in this studio, in this arena. And speaking of this studio, everything in here, everything that I have has come from me following my purpose. And this is very important to understand because one of the opponents that I have for really diving into your purpose is it's not going to make me any money. And I have to debunk that now. Your purpose and skill, if you follow it wholeheartedly with passion and integrity and love, it'll pay your bills. All the things that I see this all the time, and it really breaks my heart. People will sacrifice what they're good at because society, we will judge them and say, this doesn't make any money. And I look around the world and you also got to get out, and go see the world. And you'll see people who have created shoes and turned them into billion-dollar companies, who have created courses and made hundreds of millions of dollars, who have survived domestic violence, taught other women how to do it and other men how to do it, and have created a business and a career out of that. Jeff Bezos, who just wanted to sell books online. He just wanted to make it easier for people to get the books that they want and search for the books that they want without having to go through the Dewey Decimal System, is now a multi-billionaire, right? And say what you want about him or however you feel about him. But the reality is he had an idea. He wanted to do something. He solved the problem and boom, here we are. Whatever you're going through, if you look at the lessons, spirituality, if you look at the lessons in the challenges and how it has impacted you and made you stronger, that is part of your purpose. You can utilize that. There's a young lady right now. Oh, I so forget her name, but she created a beach cleanup. She goes around the beaches and she cleans them up. A middle school student. She started this in middle school and it has just caught on. I don't really know her story, but from my experience, I can understand that something bothered this little girl about going to the beach and seeing trash all over the place. So whatever happens in the environment that touches her heart, that goes, oh, man, we can do better. She has taken that passion of hers and she has turned it into a movement. Beach cleanup. Every month they go to a beach and they pick up our trash, the trash that we as human beings in society are leaving all over the place. She is doing her part in cleaning this up. And I hope she continues that and it just grows and grows and grows and becomes something even better. And maybe it touches somebody else to say, hey, maybe I can help by not trashing the beach, right? So purpose. What is your purpose? What makes you extremely happy? Any passion that you have can become your purpose if you hone it, okay? What about the negative things that has happened to you? And this is why spirituality is at top of that core four, and you must do your best to protect it at all time. Spiritually resilient people understand that although they may not know the purpose in their challenges, there is some type of lesson to be learned. You can utilize this type of pain for something good. I'm going to emphasize the word good. You can use anything to flip on and be bad and be a danger to people and be a danger to society. You can hear people and disagree with what they like and do something that harms them or harms yourself or harms other people. That is not purpose. Purpose is to serve and to make other people better. Here, what we want to do is we want you to become ultra resilient. And in order to do that, you have to learn how to turn things for good. You can do these things with your life, but you have to understand that you have purpose and it's your responsibility to find that purpose. It is my responsibility to let you know that you have purpose in life. It is your responsibility to find that purpose in life. All right. When you get an idea of what you might feel your purpose may be, this is when everything else kicks in, right? I believe who you are, like your personality, the music you like, the movies you like, Everything that makes you you draws you closer to your purpose. I firmly believe that. Your extrovert personality draws you closer to your purpose. Your introvert personality draws you closer to your purpose. Your love for hands-on learning draws you closer to your purpose. If you're a visual learner, you're an auditory learner, you're a hands-on learner, your love language draws you closer to your purpose. Ironically, my love language is words of affirmation. Is it starting to make sense now? This is just ironic. Ironically, my love language is words of affirmation. I'm an extrovert by definition. The more I'm around people, the more energy I get, which makes sense to me because I love speaking. Although I love this podcast, I would love this 100% more if there was 1,000 people here while I'm doing this. That would just bring me complete joy because I love being around people. Is it starting to make sense? Everything about you is a sign, is an arrow that's pointing you, getting excited, hitting my mic, pointing you to the direction that you should go in. Ask questions. Ask people around you, what am I good at? What do you see? What are some talents that I have? Think of every human interaction as an arrow or a map or some type of marquee that's pointing you to your purpose and go pursue it. Don't get stifled by money. Don't get stifled by the negative things that people say. Just find what you feel like you could, the problems that you could solve or what makes you happy. It's not hard. You just have to do the work. You have to want to. Purpose is your lifeline. It's what do I want to do to live a long, luxurious, maybe not luxurious. Maybe one of your purposes is doing the hard work. I saw this video the other day on Instagram. This barber, I forget his name. I think it's like Neil or something. And he just chooses this homeless man and he cuts his hair. He bathes them in the middle of the street. He gives them new clothes and he gives them something to eat. You wouldn't do that unless that brought you joy. You know what I'm saying? That's dirty work. That's not sitting up cozy in an office or a podcast studio talking in front of a camera. That's getting out on the streets. That's risking, your health, right? Out there that could be risking your safety. But he's doing it because he feels the sense of joy and accomplishment that comes from that. Man, I watched that video and I really felt inspired. And so it just aligned with what I'm trying to teach you all. Why is this all important? Let's get down to the crux of it. This is all important because if you have a purpose and you are passionate about that purpose, very little can stop you. That is resilience. If you have purpose and you're passionate about your purpose, very little can stop you. And that is what this podcast is all about. Very little is going to stop you from handling business. Very little is going to stop you from pursuing your purpose. If I got sick today, I'm figuring out a way. I'm asking the doctor, yo, how do I get better? Why? I got a podcast episode that I need to put out there. I have a speech that I need to attend. And I've done that. I'm like, yo, I'm going to find the fastest remedy because I need to get on this stage. I need to get to this school. When I see ultra resilient people in life, a part of it is because they have a purpose. They have a sense of purpose outside of death, right? Nothing's going to stop them from pursuing this purpose. But your purpose has to help people, not harm people. I have to emphasize that. So when we're talking about spirituality and we're talking about defining your why, everything about you points you to that direction. We're going to get into what you should do after this brief message. As you know, my passion is to help people build resilience, and it's a journey I've been on my entire life. That's why I created the Dee Hankins At Best Student Development Program. I started the program because I once was a student facing major curveballs, and I want to show students that they have a chance at a successful future no matter their background. We empower students with a 6-step framework called Win Your Challenges, and we build a network of support between students and parents and caring adults in their lives. If you're a parent, educator, or administrator and want to learn more about how we build bridges and transform school communities, I invite you to visit my website, deehankins.com. That's DeeHankins.com to learn more about how you can bring the At Best program to your school. All right, y'all, welcome back. We are getting into how I define my why. How do I find my purpose? And it's very simple. Learn as much about you as you possibly can. You'll hear me say this time and time again. What is your love language? Read the book. Find out how you receive love. Find out how you give love. What is your personality? Take a personality test. Find out if you're extrovert, introvert. Find out if I use the one that has the letters E, EN, P, T, whatever. You'll learn a lot about yourself. Take an ancestry test if you need to. Find out, was your family royalty? Was your family shoemakers? You find out as much as you possibly can about yourself. Many people do not know themselves. They just focus on the negatives about themselves. And I do this exercise when I go to schools and I do workshops. I say, give me a list of things that you've been called negative, that are negative things that you have been called. The list is long. And I go, okay, give me a list of all of the positive things about you. It takes people so long to write this stuff down because we don't focus on that. You can't become resilient by constantly thinking and being in the negative space. This is also part of your spirituality. You have to transition from negative to positive. Just the positive things about you. The negative things about you are what I call things that just need to be worked on. For instance, myself, I will admit, I used to be very punctual. Now I am not, unless it matters to me. I do not work well with others. I'm a guy that's just like, dude, I'll do it. Y'all not going to do it right? I'll do it. There's no way like the Dee Hankins way, right? That's how I do it. And I have to learn to rely on other people. This is why, and I'll be super transparent, this is why my business, that business aspect of my speaking career has been stagnant, because I'm afraid to give it to other people. But guess what? Other people have skills that I don't have. Other people have purposes that I don't have. And their skills and their talents, if I just let go of the reins, can help me get further faster. And although this is seen as a weakness of mine, I also see it as a way that I can improve. Imagine if I turn all of my weaknesses into strengths. Imagine what happens with my life. You become all powerful. And that's the point. The point is to become extremely resilient. And in order to do that, like I said before, it's having systems in place and working on your weaknesses and making those strengths to where you always have strengths and you always operate at the apex of where you need to be. Man. So I want you to think about that for a second. Okay, let's slow down. What would your life look like if you operated at the highest level spiritually? If you operated at the highest level financially for your life? If you operated at the highest level physically, what would you look like? Think about that. Just take your time while you're driving, while you're listening, while you're chilling. I want you to think about that. If you operated at peak performance physically, what would you look like right now? Where would you be? Okay? Mentally, where would you be? What would your boundaries look like? What would your friends look like? What would your life look like if the people around you that were negative, that talked bad about you, that didn't, that were just chaos in your life? What if you had a boundary so thick it kept them out permanently? What would your life look like? What would your life look like if you had routine, if you had discipline, if your kids came home and the first thing they said was, "Hi, Mom," and they sat down and they did their homework and they did their chores without you having to ask 50 times, and they did well in school and you were doing well in school and your job loved you and you were getting awards for, customer service or whatever the case may be, your business was, what would that look like for you? Whatever that dream is, it's possible. And it starts with spirituality. So do it. Take this week to focus on spirituality. Pick up books that help you learn about yourself, that improve, that cause for self-improvement, right? Where you're constantly improving every single day. And we're going to focus this week. I just want you to focus on the spirituality part. Okay. If going to church, if religion is a part of your spiritual health, your spiritual journey, your spiritual shield, okay, you need to start making church a priority, right? Not saying, "Ooh, the Super Bowl is this week, so I'm going to skip it." No. You need to go, "I'm going to go to church first. I'll get to the Super Bowl party in time." That's how strong you need to be. It may take some time, and this stuff takes time. This is not tomorrow. You're not going to wake up and just be spiritually resilient. It's not going to happen that way. You need to do work, and you need to constantly do work. Remember, operating at the apex. That means operating means keep going. Now, you're going to have downfalls. You're going to have ups. You're going to have downs. You're going to have rights. You're going to have lefts, and that's fine. When you operate here and you take a dip and you take a fall, that's cool. You know how to get back up. What I want to do is I want to shorten the time that you have at rock bottom. That is the point of this podcast, is to shorten the time that you have at rock bottom. I want those dips to be small, and I want the top up here, I want that to be longer than what the dips look like. And if you can practice these things and you take full responsibility for what happens in your life, you will operate at that level. People will begin to look at you very, very differently. Something's new about you, Susan. Yo, Kev, man, I don't know what it is, man, but you're moving different. You're walking different. There's a little bit more confidence in you, Joy. You know what I'm saying? Yo, Keish, I don't know what it is, but you've been kind of focused lately. You've been leveling up. Your dressing is changed. Your attire is changing. Your glow is changing. Your aura is changing. You're getting more aura points. This is for high school students too. When you start locking in, people start noticing. When you're on that football field and you were freshman year, you were cracking 20 yards a game, and now you're cracking 150 yards a game, people start noticing. Yo, what are you doing? I'm locking in. Spiritually, man, I'm healthy. I want to operate on this level. I'm becoming resilient. Okay, that is where we want to be. We'll be right back. What's up, everyone? I'm excited to announce the launch of my brand new podcast, The Dee Hankins Show. But it isn't just about me. I want you to be a part of it too. I'm looking for your stories for 2 brand new segments. First up, Curveball Corner. If you have a situation or problem that you're dealing with, send in your story and I'll give you my best advice. Then we have Home Run Highlights for those moments of pure, undeniable success, like paying off your student loans, landing a new job, or buying a house. So, you ready to be on the show? Head to the link in my bio right now and share your story with me. I can't wait to hear from you. Welcome back, guys. It is time for one of my favorite segments, which is Curveball Corner, where you get to submit a story, a curveball, or a highlight, something that's great in your life or something that you want advice on. So without further ado, we're going to get to it. Curveball Corner. Today's Curveball Corner comes to us from Javier from Tuolumne. I haven't been able to go to school or even sleep without thinking I might have to evacuate, or this fire is big and I'd rather be at home making sure everyone is packed to go if I need to be evacuated. I am scared of this 6,000 plus acre fire. Oh, wow. That's less than 3 miles away from me. I've been missing practices for football also. A lot of stuff is happening, and it is definitely a curveball. Plus, my football career isn't going as I wanted to. Less than 3 minutes of playing time last game. I need to improve, but with all of this, it's hard. So I remember some of the things you said, and I'm trying to stick with them. I have so much more to talk about, but this is as big as it gets. I know I need to do better. Keep giving my life to Christ, finish my high school years, be a better man. You are inspiring me to do better. But like I've said, it's so hard to do with everything happening. Can you give me some advice? Javier, thank you so much for turning that in. Yeah, it seems like you got a lot going on, man. And this is a very simple fix, but I want you to know that I recognize that, yes, you are scared and you are worried. And when fear creeps in, it starts to overcloud our parade and everything else we need to do. And so we're going to go back to our 3-bucket philosophy framework. Bucket 1 being my choices, bucket 2 being your choices, and bucket 3 being acts of God, natural disasters, things out of your control. And your situation falls into bucket number 3 and to bucket number 1. Okay. What happens when we start to mix our buckets? Especially bucket number 1, my choices, and bucket number 3, which is acts of God and natural disasters, you get frustration. Right now, you are trying to control something you cannot control. You cannot control this 6,000 acre fire that is burning, nor did you start it. Okay? You cannot control that. It is happening. What you can do is you can get ready. You can get prepared just in case you have to evacuate. Fear of this fire coming closer to your house is not doing anything for you. As a matter of fact, it's interrupting the rest of your life. It's not changing the direction of the fire. It's not changing the speed of the fire. Although it is a genuine concern and you are scared, the only thing you can do is respond when it's time to respond. Right now, you're trying to respond to things that haven't happened, and it's pointless. And you can see that, right? So now, because I'm so worried about this thing happening that hasn't happened yet, it's starting to affect the things in my life that actually are happening as we speak. So you're not coming to school. That's affecting your education. You're not doing well in football. That's affecting your football career. You know you need to do better. You know you need to lock in. You know you need to do these things, but you're allowing these mixed up buckets, this frustration of something that hasn't happened yet, this fear of something that hasn't happened yet, to affect the things that are happening. So this is what I'm going to give. My advice I'm going to give you is this. Remain in the my choices bucket. This fire is scary. I'm not saying do not be scared. I'm not saying don't be saddened about it. And I'm not saying don't be worried. What I am saying, though, is don't make decisions as if it already happened, as if something devastating to your house and to you has already happened. It hasn't, okay? If it does, respond to it then, okay? There's no need to drop out, or there's no need not to go to school now because nothing has happened right now. I hope that's making sense. You can only control what you need to do. If you really love football and you feel like this is a purpose in your life, or this is something that's going to keep you moving forward, then you need to dive in and act like it. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. I hope that you're being safe. I hope that your house survived this fire. We had a fire recently down here in LA, so I know how scary it could be. I know how frustrating it could be to lose everything, or to think about losing everything and starting all over. So I thank you for submitting your curveball corner and for being transparent. I hope that I said something that kind of gets you to focus on what you can control. You can only control the things in the my choices bucket, and you can only control your response to things that are out of your control. So if this fire has died out and has not touched you, I'm excited for that. Now it's time to lock in, get back to academics, get back to football, work your hardest, and make good decisions. All right. I appreciate you so much. We don't have a home run highlight. No one submitted one. So I'm going to tell you my home run highlight. My youngest daughter, Charlie, is starting to talk. She's starting to ask questions like, what's that? Even though it doesn't sound like what's that. So she's pointing to things, she's learning, and it's such a joy to see her growing up and becoming so smart and athletic and all this great stuff. It's just been a good time to be a dad. I appreciate you all. I'll see you all next week. Remember, life throws curveballs, but even curveballs can be hit for home runs.